In this video, we'll go over how we went from this in California to this in Japan. The process of bringing bunnies into Japan from the States is quite simple. If you're here, you're probably going through the same process we went through just 6 months ago. You're probably scared, excited, and everything in between. There wasn't much information out there when we were going through it, so I hope this video helps you. Moving is already hard, but when you have fragile little bunnies, it makes it much more tough. We moved to Japan from California with 3 dogs and 3 bunnies. I want to go over the process for moving bunnies in this video, but check out our separate video on how to move dogs in our link. This is not your one-stop shop with all the information you'll need since there are too many variables. I want to share our experiences, but please understand you'll have to do your own research too. We'll start with booking your flight. Make sure you trust the airline because I've heard way too many horror stories with some airlines. The most important first step is to narrow your search. We narrowed it down to Japan Airline and ANA, or All Nippon Airline. When doing my research, ANA and Japan Airline both told me there were 2 different sizes for their vessels. The smaller one only had 2 holding compartments, and the bigger one had 5 holding compartments. Once you have your plan of which flight you think you want to take for the move, you'll need to call customer service. They will then check to see if there are other customers that booked the pet compartment. If they give you the green light of having enough space in the pet compartment, you'll want to hang up, book the flight, then call them back. This is because they can't help you add the pet compartment onto your ticket until you have a booking number. The process was a little different between Japan Airline and ANA. Don't want to get into too much detail, but I will say that I booked Japan Airline originally, canceled the ticket, and I went with ANA. Their customer service was top-notch, and they were nothing but helpful. Both Japan Airline and ANA had a fee for each compartment. For each pet, you will need to pay $400, and if you're bringing 2 bunnies, they will have to be in their separate crates. Now that you've taken care of the flight, let's talk about paperwork. The paperwork was actually not bad at all. Unlike dogs, because bunnies are not microchipped, there's actually nothing we can do up front. But because we couldn't do anything up front like you can for the dogs with the titer test and rabies shots, the bunnies will need to go through a 3-day quarantine. You'll need to contact Animal Quarantine Station at least 40 days prior to your departure. They'll ask you to submit an application for import quarantine form, like the one shown here. Then they'll ask you who will be taking care of the bunny during quarantine. This was the confusing part. We originally thought of staying at a hotel and going to see our bunnies to take care of them every day, but it seemed like it wasn't an option. And the reason why it's confusing is because the animal quarantine station is separate from the pet hotel inside the airport. Animal Quarantine Center made it seem like we were able to go in and take care of our bunnies every day. However, we later found out that we did have to ask Pet Hotel to take care of the bunnies for the 3 days that they were being quarantined. It was a little pricey. It was 22,000 yen, which converts to about $150 USD. But even if there was an option, I think we made the right decision to have them take care of them. Because the last thing you want to do is do it wrong and have issues in Japan after you arrive. And the pet hotel was very nice. They send you 2 pictures of each bunny every day. And the 3 days came and went very quickly. The day we arrived around 5 a.m., so that was already 1 full day. And then we had the 2nd full day, and by the 3rd day, we were able to pick them up. Now let's talk about their medical paperwork. Like we said, because they are not microchipped, we have no way of doing things up front, which means it comes down to the health certificate that can only be obtained at most 10 days prior to your departure date. It'll have to be signed by a USDA approved veterinarian, and after the vet signs, they will need to get that USDA approved. We booked our appointment for 9 days prior to our departure date, but we only received our certificate the day before our departure. This means that you'll want to schedule your last appointment for the health certificates as close to the 10-day mark prior to your departure, but no more than 10 days before your departure date. So on your departure date, you will need the email that is confirming that you have contacted the animal quarantine center and your health certificate. We had quite a bit of a traumatic incident at the airport when we were checking in because the check-in counter asked for the certificate of acceptance of notification. We were told we were not required to have that for the bunnies. However, we did have those for the dogs. All in all, through our experience, it felt as if nobody knew the procedure for bringing bunnies into Japan. Although they were very helpful, it felt like the workers were trying to figure out the process with us. So at the front desk of our check-in counter, the front desk called the quarantine center in Japan, and they were able to approve our departure, seeing that we have notified them of the animal quarantine. After check-in was the inspection. We were worried about the inspection of them having to carry out each bunny and checking every bunny, making sure they don't escape and run off in the airport. That was my nightmare. However, this was the inspection. We set the 3 cages down on the conveyor belt, and they literally did not even open the crate. So if you're worried about that, no worries, although your process might be different at another airport, but we were at San Francisco Airport. This is where we say our goodbyes to our bunnies, and here they are being rolled in. Fast forward 12 hours, and they made it safely in Japan. As we deboarded our plane at Haneda Airport, the bunnies were already waiting for us at the baggage claim with the workers. The workers were very nice. They walked us to the quarantine center where we filled out the paperwork. It took about 3 to 5 minutes, and this is where we said our goodbyes to the bunnies for the next 3 days. If you're arriving in Haneda Airport Terminal 3, you would go out through the customs and arrive on the 2nd floor. On the 3rd day, when the bunnies are ready for pickup, you will go pick them up at the animal quarantine center, which is right below on the 1st floor of Terminal 3. Like I said before, the 3 days were very quick. It was the day of arrival, 1 full day, and the 3rd day was they were ready for pickup. I know you're scared for your little fur baby, but you're doing your best. And I don't say this to scare you, but for the worst case scenario, it's a good idea to scope out a vet that is near where you'll be living that will take in rabbits. For us, our little angel Choco passed away a little more than 1 month after arriving in Japan, and I say this and I get a little emotional every time I say this. But if Choco had a choice whether to stay in America with our friends and family or fly with us to Japan, I hope that he answers that he'd want to fly to Japan with us and spend the last few months of his life in Japan. And I'll cherish the memories we have with him in Japan. I hope you found this video helpful, and if you'd like, please visit our website and contact us. We can send you the PDF version of this information so that you have it in your hands for maybe one of the scary yet exciting days of your life. And please don't forget to like and subscribe so that we can continue making content of our lives in Japan after moving from the States.